Have you ever noticed that the moment you walk into a room, something inside your chest tightens? No one has said anything. Nothing obvious has happened. Yet you just know something feels off. Or maybe you've realized that you become a different version of yourself depending on who you're around. In one space, you're quiet. In another, confident. Somewhere else, cheerful and talkative. With certain people, almost invisible. Most people call that social skill, and sometimes it is, but not always. Sometimes it's something much deeper. Sometimes it's a survival strategy built in childhood, especially if you grew up under the shadow of a self-centered, controlling, emotionally dismissive parent. Most children learn to trust their feelings. You may have learned to question yours. While others had a childhood, you may have had something closer to a training camp, where the daily lesson was how not to upset anyone, how to avoid anger, how to shrink yourself to stay safe. That kind of upbringing shapes you. It gives you unusual abilities. At times, they feel like curses. At other times, they look like strengths. Today, we're going to walk through 4 traits you may carry because of that experience. When understood and managed, these traits can become powerful tools instead of hidden burdens. Imagine being 5 or 6 years old. You walk into the house and instantly know whether it's a good day or a bad day. No one announces it. There's no warning sign. But the way the dishes are set down feels sharper. The silence stretches longer. A door closes just a little too hard. Something in the air shifts. That's not magic. That's training. When you grow up in an unpredictable emotional environment, your brain learns to scan constantly. You become highly attuned to subtle cues, micro-expressions, tone shifts, body language, breathing patterns. While others simply hear words, you read tension. You don't just listen to sentences, you read emotional weather. The benefit? You're incredibly perceptive. You can tell when someone isn't being genuine. You sense insincerity before it fully reveals itself. Lies feel off. Forced affection feels hollow. It's hard to manipulate you because you've already experienced manipulation at a level most people haven't. You recognize patterns. You've seen the playbook before. But there's a cost. Your nervous system rarely rests. You're always scanning. Is someone upset? Are they pulling away? Did I say something wrong? Even in safe environments, your body reacts as if danger might appear at any second. It's like having a smoke alarm that goes off every time someone burns toast. At social gatherings, while others relax, you're analyzing. Within minutes, you've mapped out the emotional dynamics of the room. Who's uncomfortable, who's irritated, who's pretending to enjoy themselves. Instead of fully participating, you observe. The real challenge is that your body sometimes reacts to imagined threats the same way it once reacted to real ones. Even in healthy relationships, you brace for impact. You wait for the condition behind the kindness. You assume love might come with strings attached. But the truth is, this ability isn't inherently exhausting. It becomes exhausting when it's driven by fear. When guided by safety instead of survival, this sensitivity becomes empathy. It becomes emotional intelligence. It becomes leadership. You can detect conflict early. You can navigate difficult conversations with awareness. You know when to soften your tone, when to give space, when to lean in. If you learn to regulate when to turn the scanner on and when to let it rest, this trait transforms from hypervigilance into intuition. Not every silence means danger. Not every shift in tone means rejection. As you slowly redefine what safety feels like, the mind reader in you stops being a guard on duty and becomes a wise observer.
If someone asked you, "Who are you really?" would you hesitate? For many people raised in emotionally unsafe homes, being their authentic self wasn't encouraged. It was risky. So you learned to adapt. At home, you were quiet and careful. At school, maybe you were funny. With friends, you were the listener. In professional settings, confident and polished. This isn't fake, it's adaptive. When expressing your real feelings led to criticism, dismissal, or punishment, you learned to edit yourself. You shrank certain parts, amplified others. You became skilled at reading what was expected and delivering it. You adjusted your personality like changing outfits. The advantage is clear. You fit in almost anywhere. Job interviews, you know how to present yourself. New social circles, you quickly match the tone. You understand social cues deeply. While others struggle with awkwardness, you instinctively adapt. That's powerful. But the hidden question lingers. Which version is the real one? When people say they know you, do they really? Or do they know the version you calculated would be most acceptable? Sometimes you may look in the mirror and feel strangely undefined, like a collection of roles rather than a solid identity. The fear underneath it all is simple. If I stop performing, will people stay? Because early on, you may have learned that acceptance was conditional. Love required adjustment. Safety required compliance. Here's what healing begins to teach. Adaptation is a skill, but self-erasure is not the same as flexibility. You can adjust your tone without abandoning your values. You can be socially intelligent without betraying your core. The turning point comes when you begin expressing small truths, preferences, opinions, boundaries. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but gradually you'll notice something important. The right people don't leave when you're authentic. The ones who do leave were connected to the performance, not the person. Being a shapeshifter means you're adaptable, but now it's time to build a stable center inside that doesn't shift with every room you enter. When was the last time you truly rested without guilt? Not distracted scrolling, not collapsing from exhaustion. Real rest, where you felt allowed to simply exist. If you grew up in a home where achievement determined worth, rest may have felt dangerous. Mistakes weren't just errors, they were personal failures. Praise might have been tied to performance, so you learned to work harder than everyone else, to push beyond your limits, to prove your value constantly. Now people admire your strength. They call you resilient, disciplined, reliable. What they don't see is that you're not always driven by ambition. You're driven by fear. Fear that if you stop, everything falls apart. Fear that if you slow down, you'll be exposed as not enough. You handle pressure exceptionally well. Crisis doesn't paralyze you. Chaos feels familiar. You grew up navigating emotional instability, so high-stress situations don't shock you. You adapt quickly. You problem-solve efficiently. But survival mode is not the same as living. When life becomes a continuous checklist of tasks and achievements, joy gets sidelined. You accomplish goals, but rarely celebrate. You reach milestones, but immediately chase the next one. Satisfaction feels temporary. The deeper truth is this: you no longer have to earn your right to exist. Love is not a reward for productivity. Rest is not laziness. Rest is recovery. Joy is not irresponsibility. Joy is nourishment. Learning to pause can feel terrifying at first. It may even feel wrong. But slowly you begin to notice something profound. The world doesn't collapse when you stop. In fact, you think more clearly, create more freely, connect more deeply. The always-on machine protected you once, but now you're allowed to power down without losing your worth.
This one is often the quietest and the heaviest. If, as a child, your sadness was called dramatic, your anger labeled disrespectful, your excitement dismissed as too much, you learned something dangerous. Emotions are problems, so you minimized them. You locked them away. You became calm, controlled, composed. As an adult, when someone hurts you, you question yourself instead of feeling anger. When someone loves you, you brace for abandonment. When something good happens, you prepare for it to be taken away. You learned that good things come with conditions, that affection might be temporary, that safety can disappear overnight. The benefit? You're steady in crises. When others panic, you remain composed. People lean on you because you rarely fall apart. The cost? Sometimes you feel numb, disconnected, as if you're watching your life rather than living it. But your emotions were never the problem. They were responses, healthy ones. The people who dismissed them may have struggled with their own emotional capacity. That was never your responsibility to fix. Healing begins with small acknowledgments. I'm hurt. I'm angry. I'm excited. I'm afraid. Naming feelings doesn't make you weak. It reconnects you to yourself. As you gradually allow emotions back in, something shifts. The heaviness softens. The numbness decreases. You stop being just the calm exterior and start becoming a full human being again. Conclusion: not a curse, a transformation waiting to happen. These 4 traits, heightened perception, adaptability, relentless drive, emotional control, were once survival mechanisms. You didn't choose them. They developed because they had to. But now you have a choice. You can let them operate unconsciously, running your life in the background, or you can consciously shape them into strengths. You are not broken. You are someone who survived complexity without losing awareness. You still feel deeply. You still care. You still try. That's not weakness. That's resilience. One day, you may look back and realize that the traits you once saw as flaws are the very qualities that make you insightful, empathetic, strong, and perceptive beyond measure. You are enough, without proving, without performing, without overworking, without hiding your emotions. Now it's time to stand on your own side, to befriend yourself, and to move beyond survival into a life that is fully, authentically lived.